Hello, guys. I am Dollie IndigoStar, and this is one of my Raw Talk sessions, a podcast in expanding consciousness. And tonight I have a friend, associate, colleague, and I follow this guy as well. His name is Ryder Lee. He's from Raised by Giants, and he kind of touches base with humanity, experiences, gets their lowdown backlog on the stories, what's hot and what's not, but he really covers it all. And he also hangs out with another cool guy who I love and adore to bits, Chris Matthew from Forbidden News. And I know, Ryder, that you two guys and Raised by Giants and Forbidden News, you have been collaborating, haven't you? Tell us, what have you guys been doing?
We've been doing a lot of stuff. Sometimes I come on his show and co-host with him, and we just got together last weekend. We went to the Gaia Sphere in Colorado and listened to Graham Hancock give a 3-day presentation.
Wow.
On a bunch of different topics. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, we talk all the time. We have a good time. It's really fun to hang out with him and chat. So I send him memes all the time. I'm a meme king. I have like so many memes saved on my phone that I send him all the time. So we just kind of have fun and hang out.
But you've been out and about together, haven't you? Boots on the ground, as I like to talk it.
We went to the Laughlin UFO MegaCon in June, I believe. It might have been May or June of last year, and we interviewed all the speakers and everyone at that conference. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. What
kicked all this off for you? I know you interview many people out there, but what put you into this field? What started you into doing this?
Well, I really wanted to do it for a long time, Dolly. I've been watching a lot of my favorite people on YouTube, and I was like, you know what? I can do this. I can be just as good as the people that I'm watching, And then after 2020 is really what set me on this path. And I was like, I have to do something, I have to get the word out about something, because I see our civilization and our community just completely crumbling, right? And, people fighting with each other, all the division that's out there, And I was like, well, what can I do about this? And first I had to figure out the problem, right? And, the issue that I thought was going on. And I kind of thought about it, and I'm like, okay, well, it's really a spiritual issue that a lot of people are dealing with. It's not we're in like a spiritual war. That's what I, classify it as. And a lot of people are missing something within them, like a void is missing within them. So they go out and they try and fill that void with all of these different worldly things, and it never fills the void, right? Whenever they go out and they get the brand new car, they get the hottest girlfriend, the biggest house, or the newest phone, or the brand new pair of shoes, or whatever it is that they're trying to get, there's still something missing within them, And I'm like, well, and I've recognized that within myself, and I'm like, well, I need to try and do something about this to try and help them and realize that it's not a materialistic, worldly, physical thing that people are needing. They're needing something, more, and I'm trying to help them discover what that more is by bringing other people on that I feel have something important to say about the issue. And I bring on all kinds of people, experiencers, secret space program people, people that are offering healing, channelers, like all kinds of different people, because I believe that everyone has a little piece of the puzzle. And when you hear one person, you can take what they're saying, and if you don't agree with whatever it is that they're saying, it doesn't really matter. You can take a little bit of what they're saying, then you can put it in the back of your brain, and then you can match it with what somebody else is saying.
Absolutely.
When
if you resonate.
Yeah, and you can put all of those things together, and then once you've put a lot of them together, then you have a little bit better of understanding of what's really happening and what's really going on in the world. So that's really where it started. But the whole journey started way back in 2008, whenever the documentary Zeitgeist came out, and that was a part of my awakening process, through 9/11. Then with all the religions, and then the monetary system, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. And then there's many awakenings that we go through, Dolly. It's not just one singular event. Like I still feel like that we're constantly awakening to more information. It's just, how do we disseminate that information, and how do we do we listen to it? Does it resonate with us? How do we feel whenever we listen to somebody, right? Because you can feel the energy coming off of somebody if you believe that they're telling the truth or they're not telling the truth.
This is it. Because we can be, for instance, lied to by some of the best faces out there. It doesn't mean because they're talking consciousness that they understand and know it. And it's a bit like our politicians and the way the world is run. The whole system, it seems, in the community is kind of infiltrated, and there is that missing gap. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's a top-down system. So however they behave and operate at the top inadvertently trickles down to the rest of the population. So if you have people on the top that are lying, cheating, stealing, subverting, then that's inevitably what you get at the bottom, is a bunch of lying, cheating, stealing, and subverting. And it's unfortunate that that it has to be that way. And but I think that instead of it starting at the top and trickling down, we have to do the reverse of that. We have to invert it on them, right? We have to start at the bottom and then work our way up to the top. So that involves, us healing ourselves, us figuring out, what's going on with us as an individual. And then eventually that will change the collective. And because once you heal yourself, once you take care of your problems, once your side of the street is clean, then, that's going to affect the group. It's like energy is easily transferable. Dolly, you know this, like, if I were to come on this show today and I'd be like, oh, yeah, Dolly, and I'm really down about it, then no one's going to really listen or pay attention to anything that I'm saying, right? So
exactly,
that's a very good
it's vibration.
Example.
Yeah, vibration,
100%.
frequencies, 100%. And we've been getting the wrong frequencies, which is why we've been kind of like that, and listening to the people with the masks and plodding along with it. But it's kind of reversing now. Humanity has kind of woke up. I feel that they're awake, but they're trapped. That kind of...
They are awake to a certain degree, but I think that it's only on like a certain level, right? Because
trapped within an illusion of
the rabbit hole always goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And I think that, whenever you're just talking about the corruption side and the controllers of our reality and the people that are manipulating events and subverting people, the political agendas, you're working in a very narrow point of view, and I think whenever you realize that, what I've realized is that it all comes back to spirituality, right? If conspiracy doesn't lead to spirituality, then you're kind of doing something wrong, right? because I mean, how are you going to deal with all of the nonsense? We just can't go and overthrow, the government and all the things that are going on. We have to find a different way, and I think that way is with our consciousness, right? That's how we change events. We change events with our consciousness, our imagination. We replay things over and over again to the point to where we know that they're going to happen. That's how manifestation really works. And if we're all on the same page with something, and that's the way that they do these things, Dolly, they fabricate an event and then they get everyone to believe in that event. And then therefore that event brings it into their reality. So if it works like that, then it can work the opposite way too. We can turn something into something positive and change that way as well, just the way that they do it negatively to us. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
It does. It absolutely makes sense, because I do see a lot of positive things happening, and positive things happening with the world, and positive changes. It's just that we're not shown them in the controlled media. And there's like two stories here. There's the negative, which they like to feed us, and there's the positive, which they don't want us to access.
Yep.
So there's a veil in between of illusion amongst the people, which makes them feel kind of suppressed, because they know the truth is there. And it's kind of hard for humanity to catch up with what's going on, because there's locks on everything. So I'm kind of feeling that right now in the community. And a couple of people have said this to me, that they feel stuck and that they know the Mandela effect happened and the timelines have changed, and that humanity has changed in some way, and they know what needs to be done, but there's kind of a negative suppression still anchored in humanity's spiritual knowledge, essence, core. Do you get the same vibrations off people?
Yes, listen, the negativity and all the stuff that's going on is a trap in itself, right? And once it gets you locked in to that version of reality that they're trying to project upon everybody, right? The negative things that are happening, once they get you down to where that's all that you can talk about, that's all that you can think about, instead of trying to change your consciousness to something positive, which is very difficult. I mean, I have problems doing that in my, personal everyday life, of course, you know what I mean? But the conspiracy world is really a trap in itself.
It is.
And I think that it was kind of designed for a reason, right? And it's not that it's not worth talking about. Of course, there's some great conspiracies and some really good,
fascinating ones,
chunks of information about them. But if that's all that you're looking at, then you've created a echo chamber for yourself, right? Like, we should be doing things that, that are way more positive than just looking at, how the apocalypse is upon us. And, with all these medical treatments, everyone has to get a medical treatment. You know what I mean? Like, keep looking at it if that's what you want in your reality, right? But I think that we should be intaking more positive motivational things. Like, we should be waking up in the morning and listening to motivational speakers, right? Just get on YouTube and type in, motivational speeches or whatever. Because whenever we wake up in the morning, Dolly, that's whenever our subconscious is most affected, right? Because we've been in the dream state the entire night. So in order to reprogram your subconscious, wake up in the morning, put on something positive, right? Because that's going to rewire your brain on a fundamental level that is going to make your day so much better. Right?
Oh, I do. Trust me. This house is a booming powerhouse. In the morning, I always have my high vibrational frequencies on of the morning and evening, I must say, to go to sleep. But My viewers, however, and the rest of the world that's catching up, kind of need guys like us that know this knowledge to be able to deliver it. Now, you're a starseed. I know that implicitly by the way that you deliver yourself with your integrity and the things that you do. But you go that step further, and in your personal life, you have an amazing job in humanity. Tell us a little bit about your role and the work you do, because I think it's phenomenal.
Well, I work in a drug and alcohol treatment center. That's my normal everyday job. I just do this as a service to humanity. I don't make any money doing this. I do it because I love it and I want to, spread the message and, talk about these things, because the things that that we're discussing on the show, you just can't walk up to an everyday person and, start talking about these kinds of things, because one, they're probably not going to understand it. They're probably not going to get it. And it's probably just going to go in one ear and out the other. And then you're looked at like you're crazy. You know what I mean? So this is really a good outlet for me. And that's really what I needed, was a healthy outlet that I can talk about the things that's on my mind, because my mind is running 24/7. I constantly have thoughts going in and out of my mind all the time, right? So it's a good, healthy outlet for me to be able to speak with these things with other individuals like yourself. You've been on my show twice now, and other people. I mean, I would like to do it more, but unfortunately, I have the 9-to-5 job that I work 5 days a week. So it's a little difficult to do more than I already do. It's already a handful. Not only booking the guest and then getting it uploaded and getting it edited, and making the thumbnails for it and everything, and then promoting it on social media. So it's a heck of a job. But I mean, I would love to be able to do this full time and not have a 9-to-5 job. But, unfortunately, money rules the world, and, the monetary system, and you need money to be able to survive and, provide shelter for yourself and provide food. But, money has never been the reason why I do this. It's all, for, well, first off, for myself, and that might sound selfish, but, it's the truth. I do it for me. And then if someone find something that they like and they resonate with, then, perfect. But yeah, I work in a drug and alcohol treatment center, which, I find very rewarding, trying to, help people. And, cause, I've been through the whole, drug and alcohol thing, for 5-6 years of my life, and by a miracle, I was able to survive it. And I definitely had something looking out for me. I've OD'd 5 times.
Wow!
And I had to have Narcan put directly intravenously into my body to bring me back. And one of those, I had a really near death experience. Like I was in. It's hard to explain, but I was in a completely dark place. Like there was no light. It was completely dark. And it was really weird, Dolly, because I felt the most peace that I had ever felt in my life at that time. And I was fighting to come back. I didn't know if I wanted to come back. I was in this area where where reality was mixed with the spiritual, and I didn't really know where I was or, what I was doing, but the amount of peace and calmness that I felt was incredible, and then I remember making the decision. I didn't meet any entity. I didn't meet anybody. I was kind of, just alone in this black area. I mean, I guess you could call it a void or
void.
Whatever.
I was just about to say of some kind of void.
But I remember making the decision on my own to come back, and I'm very, very happy that I did, because I've created a life that I love. Something that I'm doing that I'm that I really enjoy. Even the 9-to-5 job, I still find joy in it, you know, being able to help other people through the same things that, you know, that I've been through. And I mean, it gets kind of rough, you know, towards the end of the week. I'm like burnt out, but you know, I always bounce back from it, and you know, I'm always learning and always growing, you know. And if you're not placed in situations that make you feel uncomfortable, and then you're not growing as an individual, right? You're not growing you're not growing spiritually, you're not growing consciously, you're not growing mentally, you know. So I try and take everything head on, and if something doesn't work out the way that it was supposed to and the way that I had it in my head, because our expectations a lot of times, Dolly, is our downfall of something. You know, whenever we have high expectations going into something and it doesn't pan out the way that we thought that it was going to pan out, then we tend to get down, we tend to get depressed, and we're like, oh shit, you know, this didn't work out the way that I wanted it to, so I'm going to sit on my soapbox. And and you can do that for a little bit of time. I mean, that's a normal thing to do, but a lot of people don't get out of that depression, you know, and they stay in it, and they waller in their own self-pity. And I've realized that it's okay to be down sometimes, you know, it's okay to go through that and sit with it and figure it out, but let it go. Right. At some point you have to let it go. And my letting go of it has shortened and shortened and shortened. You know, it used to be, you know, a week, you know, or a month that I would let something bother me, you know, and then it slowly started dwindling down, you know, to 3 weeks, and then to 2 weeks, and then to 1 week. And then now it's getting to the point where like I just easily let go of things, because I realized that it's a part of the plan, and this life is just a journey, right? And if we didn't have this opposition in our lives, if we didn't have these things to overcome, then we would be bored to death. There would be absolutely nothing to do, right?
Absolutely pointless. Yeah, the lessons are the purpose, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, it's all about the journey. It's about the journey and figuring yourself out and knowing who you are as an individual, not only as a physical being, but a spiritual being as well. You know, we're more than just this physical body, this physical avatar. We're multi-dimensional spirit beings, is what I like to call it. And a lot of people don't really know exactly what that means. They just use the regurgitated term. But to me, it means that we live on all levels of reality simultaneously, right? There's infinite versions of ourselves and infinite timelines. And, you know, and sometimes we can intersect with those, and we can come together with those. And I think that's what a lot of the, you know, Mandela effects and the deja vu that people experience is us coming into contact with our parallel lives, and it's intersecting at a certain moment in time. And in that time we remember, right?
Absolutely.
But it's actually happening all simultaneously, right? There is no past, present, and future. It's all stacked on top of each other, just like how all the different dimensions are, right? It's not just one, like a place that you can go to. It's actually all existing simultaneously, right? And
I understand this. I've been writing about this very thing today in my book. And it's from a starseed perspective of us understanding ourselves, and a part of our DNA that we have been able to activate within ourselves. It's a very ancient part of our cosmic makeup that's imprinted in us, and we do live simultaneously on other worlds. We are what we manifest and what we think. And it's amazing that you've touched on that. And I can resonate with that straight away, because I've been writing about it today in my book. So just going that one step beyond as a starseed, where do you think that you get this information from, Ryder?
Well, honestly, I think that I get it from me, but there's always the age-old regurgitation thing, right? And a lot of people, whether you know it or not, you're actually speaking things that you've heard other people say, right? And that's and I'm willing to admit that, you know, maybe 60-70% of, what I talk about, I've put my own spin on from hearing other people talk about it. And that's just me being, straightforward about it, but I know exactly where it comes from because I have a really good memory. I just don't always say it all the time. But I think a good 30-40% of what I speak about and what I know has come from me in my own experiences of life and the information being given to me. I don't really listen to anybody anymore, right? Because I don't want it to
influence. It's part of your higher consciousness. That's what you're saying. It's your own higher consciousness that you're accessing within yourself.
100%. And through my download experiences, I've put together a few presentations of, the downloads that I've received. The first one was called Exiting the Simulation, Returning the Source, that I got on a bunch of shows and presented. And all that information came directly to me from what I believe to be myself or a past life. And the same with the second download that I received, which was called Attack on the Heart, Fight for Humanity. All of that information didn't come from anybody. It didn't come from something external to me. It actually came from me, from my higher self, past life, spirit guides, whatever you want to call them, but they are me, is what I've come to realize. People they constantly want to be looking outside of themselves for solutions and answers to the problems when we have all the information within us. It's just about unlocking it. Right. And they always want to give credit to external beings. They want to give credit to, their spirit guides or, their angels or their ETs, spirits, whatever you want to call them. And that's an accurate, description of, who they are and what they are. But I think that they are all just us. They're just alternate versions of us here to help yourself. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
yes, absolutely. We've got the keys. We've got them to unlock, and we do it through our experiences. I think as we evolve in growth and spiritual growth and mature in age and life and experiences itself, we question ourselves and reality and unlock those parts. Sometimes it has to be a dark place we go to unlock. But it's kind of worth working through there. Like yourself, you've been to some dark places over the last few years, but it has given you an access now to a higher thought perspective.
100%.
Totally different direction.
And that's what we need to really learn to do, is to see the positive things, right? Because if you can come up with more positive things than negative, then you've already flipped it, right? Any situation that you're going through, anything that's happening to you, if you can somehow
reverse,
think of more positive, yes. If you can come up with 5 positive things from that experience,
I like that.
You've already shifted it. You've already turned it into something more positive. And whenever people are giving credit to other beings, whether it be, God or ET or spirit guides or whatever, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? But whenever you do that long enough, you're taking away your own power and your own individuality and your own sovereignty, and you're giving it to something outside of yourself,
becoming disempowered.
Yes. And then that develops and turns into a savior complex, right? And then you're constantly relying on external forces to come and save you and to come and help you, and then that turns into a whole other big, huge thing of not being willing to get up and actually make a difference or get up and do something. You're constantly relying on someone else or something else to do it for you. And that's never, healthy in my opinion, to constantly be relying on other people. And that's not just in the physical
sense. It's codependency. It's called 100%. Codependency.
And it's not only that in the spiritual sense, it's in our everyday personal lives too. You know, it could be, oh, well, I'm not going to pick up that piece of trash and throw it in the trash can that's right beside the piece of trash. I'm just going to wait for somebody else to do it. You know,
Exactly.
someone else will come along and pick up that cigarette butt up off of the ground and put it in the trash can. I don't have to do it. You know, so it trickles down into
bad attitude.
100%. And it goes down, you know, it trickles down into everything in our life if you're not careful. But again, I'm not saying don't give, you know, praise and thanks to whatever you think that is protecting you, because, you know, obviously we do have, you know, guides, and we do have angels, and we do have all these things that are trying to, and our higher self that are trying to help us in these situations. But what I'm saying is don't rely on them at every turn, right? And don't expect them to come in and help you through every single, you know, part of your life. Like there's a point where you have to get up and actually do something about it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And people kind of get lost in the savior aspect, that somebody will come and save them. And nobody's going to save you but yourself, kind of thing.
And that's where the healing part comes in. And that's where taking care of yourself is of utmost importance, right? And when you heal yourself, again, whenever you take care of everything in your world, everything else seems to fall in place, right? You'll see doors open that you never thought were possible.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I started my YouTube channel with 0 subscribers, you know, but
how many have you got now?
I think 1,600 or something like that.
It's growing. That's good. It's doubled quickly, really quickly.
And that's just a little over a year, just, you know, putting in the work, and it's a slow process. And you know, I think another problem with our society, Dolly, is the instant gratification that people think that they deserve, right? They don't want to have to put in the work to establish something. They think that it should be given to them, you know? And we have all these things set up in our reality that make this really hard to get out of, right? We have Amazon Prime now that can deliver stuff to you in a day. We have, you know, HBO Max now that you can watch, you know, movies that are in the theater on your TV in your home. You know, we have all these instant gratification things hitting us from all angles. So I think when people think that they should just be given something is it's a very difficult thing to get out of, right? Because we're slammed with it 24/7.
We live in a throwaway society now.
Yeah.
We live in such a throwaway, easy come, easy go, easy to replace society that it's become the norm.
Yeah, normalization, and nothing is built to last anymore. You know what I mean? Like they'll build a building and then tear it down in 5 years, you know? Cars, you buy a brand new car, there's something wrong with it within the first year, you know, and it's like that with all of our appliances. It's like that with all of our things, you know. It's a constant materialistic regurgitation, right? They don't want things to last an extended period of time because they want you to go and buy the new thing, right? So it's set up from the very start for it to fail, you know. I don't know, like old 60s.
Keep the masses entertained. That's what it is. It's keep the masses entertained and illusioned and give them all these things and toys to play with and cheap products and cheap plastic in a throwaway society. Bring something new out in 6 months. Like I said, throw the old away. People don't care anymore. Our rubbish tips are overflowing, and refuse centers and recycling centers. It's become crazy.
Yeah, I think that the old 60s and 70s refrigerators. I don't know if you guys
Yes.
had those over there, but I think that those bad boys are going to outlast us all. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
they were built to last, baby, you know, and nothing like that in our reality is built to last anymore, because it's about consumerism. You know, they've turned it into, again, everything outside of yourself that you need to bring in, and you're told that when you get it, that you'll be happy. You know, whenever you have the newest and best thing, you will be happy, and no one ever is, and it might last for like a week or a couple of days whenever you get the brand new thing, but you still feel that emptiness inside of you, you know. And that's what I'm really trying to do, is trying to help people fill that emptiness that they're lacking inside of them with something positive and something uplifting. And there's a bunch of ways that you can do that, and a few of those things is our imagination, because there's been a concerted effort, Dolly, to destroy our imagination, right? And they started this with kids and with children, right? Because whenever I was growing up, you know, I'm not that old, I'm only 28, but whenever I was growing up, we still went out and we played outside. You know, me and my friends, we would go out there and we would have a huge imagination, and I could literally see the things that I was imagining. You know, we would go out and we would play Star Wars, or we would play Dragon Ball Z or something like that, and we would have these big elaborate storylines that we would do, and we would go out there and we would play for hours, right? But nowadays, maybe some parts of the world and, you know, some states it's like that, but I don't think people do that anymore, because literally as soon as they turn, you know, 3 or 4 years old, their parents give them a tablet,
yeah,
an iPad.
To say they do, but technology has kind of taken that away from kids in a way.
It really has, because they don't have to have an imagination anymore.
No,
right? They don't have to think about these things anymore, because they have a tablet in their hand, or they have a phone, right? And that's disconnecting them from their innate spiritual abilities and locking them into a physical reality where everything that they feel, touch, and see, you know, is real, whether it is or not. You know, and that's a big travesty that has happened to the generation after me and all the subsequent generations, right? It's
AI. It's taking over, and it is taking over our educational programs. It's taking over our supermarkets, restaurants, schools, hospitals, doctors' surgeries. It really is taking over. AI is taking over. I had, in my everyday life, like you, Ryder, I've got a normal job. I'm a care worker, and I'm self-employed, and I look after people. And
it's really about data collection, right? That's what they want, is they want everybody on their phones and tracking it.
It's just track society, and to treat people now. I've done it through an app on my phone. I'm a care worker. I look after people. If they need to be seen by a doctor, they've actually been seen through artificial intelligence in my phone, instead of a person standing there to assess a situation. AI technology has taken over.
100%. They don't need to tap your phone anymore.
No.
They already have the tap
Data.
You know? And that's exactly what it is. It's data collection. Like, I've seen it several times on my Instagram. Like, I will post a photo and then I'll go back and try and look at it. The photo's not there, but it has a title of what's in the photo. It's crazy. And they're doing that to everybody, Dolly. It's not just with Instagram, Facebook, it's with Twitter, it's with every photo that you post, no matter if it's of you or not, if it's a meme, it is tagged and logged.
Yes.
And
algorithms and hashtags, and it's in there.
Yeah, it's
AI world.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I've seen it with other people too. Like the Facebook will glitch out, and I've seen the photo before it glitched, and then there will be a title, and it'll be like, whatever the person's name is, let's say it's a photo of somebody, right? This is what happened to me. I posted a photo of me in a meditative pose. I was went to a combo ceremony in California, where they put an ancient tree frog medicine on you that helps you purge up and clear your spiritual, mental, and physical body. And it's a non-psychedelic substance. But the shaman took a picture of me sitting there meditating.
Okay.
And I posted it on Instagram, and the Instagram glitched out, and it had a title that read, Ryder Lee appears to be indoors with a beard. Okay. And I'm like, I instantly got on there and deleted it, but it's not even.
It wasn't even what you'd put, or it was, yeah.
No, I mean, it was exactly what I posted, but the problem is that I realized that they're doing that to everyone. It wasn't just me. It's an infinite data collection of every single person that posts anything online is all being stored and is all being put somewhere in a data collection type of area, right? So that way that if they need any kind of information on you about anything, all they have to do is go to the data collection site, and they can pull up every single thing that you've ever posted.
I'm sure it's a great big super duper duper world computer somewhere.
100%. They got stuff underground. They got stuff.
Yeah.
In the ocean. It's all processing, and it's all putting it somewhere and storing it somewhere. And I don't think people really realize that. And I try to stay away from posting, selfies and things like that, and because that's what they're doing, But and I don't really know the reason why, other than to create a type of artificial intelligence. I mean, we've had AI for a really long time. AI has been here. It's been tracking us and surveilling us, and that's how they get all their information and figure out what they can do to what person, given what they've posted, what kind of ads they can give somebody based on what they've posted or what they're talking about. And not only that, but to feed certain areas with certain information than different areas to cause as much confusion and division as possible, because they know what they can put out to these certain areas, right?
It's a program.
Like I'm in the United States, so there's a bunch of different states, right? And what they do is they give certain states, certain areas, certain counties information based off what they think that they know, right? And then they'll give a different community or a different state or a different county or a different country a different set of information, right? So then it makes it to where nobody is ever on the same page, because there's so much different information being spread.
Scattered, they scatter it. It's phenomenal, and I've experienced this myself over the last few weeks. I've had to verify myself with not just things on social media, but in personal life things as well, documentation and for bizarre things, for access for things, but they want photo ID, and you have to submit this and submit that, and it's going into this huge data bank of now where they're trace and track. Everybody is traced and tracked, and it doesn't matter how you try and get out of it. somehow, some way, you end up in this system of where your identity has to be verified, or you can't go any further. They've put this program in place with everyone now and making it more difficult for people to get access to things that they need.
100%. As soon as we are born into this reality, we're given a identity, we're given a birth certificate, we're given a social security number, and that's the way, you know, that you're tracked. And I bought I think it was probably like 8 years ago, right? I bought a Xbox One, right whenever it came out. It was the brand new gaming system whenever it came out. I don't really remember. I don't mess with video games anymore, but it literally made me put in my social security number into the Xbox in order for me to play it, you know? And okay, so another thing. Okay, so when I went to Colorado to visit with Chris and go to that Graham Hancock conference, I flew there, right? I went to the airport.
Yeah.
And they had this new system set up. It was called Cleared, right?
Okay.
And I was walking in the line, and this gentleman, this worker, a guy that was working there, came up to me and was like, do you want to skip the TSA line? I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. Let's just try it out. We'll figure it out. I know that there's some kind of catch to it. You know what I mean? And but I was like, oh yeah, I'll go along. I just want to see what they're doing, right? Mm-hmm. So I go up to this little machine. He sets it up for me. I put in my address, my name, all that, and he was like, okay, they're gonna take a picture of you, right? And I was like, okay. And then I bent down because I'm super tall. I'm like 6'4", and this machine is like super short. So I bent down, and it scanned my eyes.
Yes.
Right. It scanned my eyes, and then it was like step back, and then it took a scan of my face.
Yeah.
Right. And then he had me put my fingers on a pad so that they can scan and get my fingerprints.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I did get to skip the TSA line. I didn't even have to go through the radiation thing where they put your body up and scan your body and all that. I just walked through a metal detector, and boom, I was done.
Yeah. They do it by,
But I was like, that's what it's all about. Is it about facial recognition, right? Because if they can scan your eyes and figure you out by your eyes, they don't even need your face, right? And I think that's what a lot of the mask situation was being done, and why it was implemented so hard, right? Was if they can get your eyes into the database, then they can know exactly who you are, where you've been, what you've done. Right?
They took my voice.
And that's a big reason why it was.
They took my voice. I had my voice done in that recognition. They wanted to know my voice. It's weird, isn't it? How they take different people and different things with different... Because we have that over here, but with voice recognition. So your voice has a unique frequency and tone, and it's like your thumbprint. It's unique to you, like your eyes or your thumbprint.
100%. And they do different things in different countries because they know what they can get away with in that country, right? They can be really boots on the ground in some countries, like, Australia and Canada and these other places. But in the United States, they can't be that way, right? Because
too big, isn't it?
We have a constitution, right? And we have the Second Amendment. We have a lot of these things that are keeping them from being boots on the ground here. So what do they do in the United States? They make it all psychological, right? They have to psychologically program us to make us think that it's our idea to do it, right? And once they dwindle that away enough, then they can come in with the boots on the ground type of military. But if they just came out straight up boots on the ground, there would be way too much opposition and they would not be able to get away with it. Too many people would rise up and defend themselves.
Yeah.
So they have to turn it into a psychological operation. And so far that has worked like gold, because they would not have done this, Dolly, if they didn't know 100% that they could get away with it, right? They would have done it earlier, or they would have done it later, right? If they weren't for sure that that they could bring down the entire system and burn it to the ground, and which is what we're going to see happening in the next 4 to 5 years.
Well, we saw what happened recently in Washington, D.C. when the whole place was stormed. That was phenomenal. The uprising of the people. They were angry citizens that proved that they could go in and question the government. It's the people's government. We vote these people in. This is what I'm saying, from country to country. We vote for these people in. If we don't vote them in and don't vote for such a system.
This is what I've realized, Dolly, and it might be shocking to others. And again, this is just my personal opinion. You know, a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about is all, you know, my personal thing. Like, you don't have to take it as fact. I'm just presenting the information. You can take it or leave it, and that's my truth, right? So don't get in anybody listening, don't get in an uproar about what I'm going to say, because it's you know. Okay, so this is what I discovered, right? Because this is the way that it works. Okay, so whenever you believe in something is what brings it into your reality, right? Our thoughts create our reality, and they have to shepherd you into the certain direction in order to bring that whatever they're projecting into your reality, right? So what they've done is none of our officials have been elected by the people. None of them. Besides, maybe on a local level, yes, they have been elected by the people, but those people don't matter because they know that they're so big that they can get in over on them, right? But I'm talking about the high officials. I'm talking about the president. I'm talking about a lot of the cabinet members. I'm talking about, you know, the vice president, all these. Those people have not been elected, you know, by the people. No one has officially actually won an election by the people since JFK, right? All of them have been put in the power by a higher level of people, right? And when they do that, Dolly, whenever the people don't elect someone, right? Whenever they're not elected by the people, then they're not under a contract by the people, right? So they can do whatever they want, right? Because if they were elected by the people, then they would have an accountability, a contract to do right by the people at every turn, right? So, and that's how they've backdoored all of this nonsense into our reality, is because they were
there's nobody really in control. Is that what you're saying?
There's what?
Is that what you're saying, that there is nobody really in control of these situations or governments?
Oh, there is, but it's a false control,
Mm.
right? The president hasn't been duly elected by the people since JFK, so therefore they can get in there and do whatever they want and be controlled and manipulated however they want because they weren't really elected by the people. That's what I mean. Is they don't have a contract to do right by the people because they weren't elected by the people. It was a false election, right? So therefore, they don't have a spirit, an obligation to the people to do right by the people. I don't know. I might not be explaining that.
No, I get
perfectly right.
Perfectly. And I think they do it from country to country because it's kind of similar here, because the people that are in power, when you talk to the everyday common people of England, they haven't voted these people in power to run the country that are now running the country. Nobody votes for these people. So, like you say, they do what they want. They put who they need to be in power for their purpose. And I think they do this in every country, which is part of why the people have been uprising from country to country and saying, like, change the flipping management here, you know? The people want to put their own people into power. But the government somehow is creating these illusionary figures and people to be in these positions of manipulation, I would say. I think it's the same the world over.
I think so too. If anyone has any doubts about that, watch the Manchurian Candidate on the movie with Denzel Washington. That's exactly what all the presidents have been since JFK. So it's we're working within we're working within a broken system, right? A broken political system, a broken social system, and a broken monetary system, you know, and it's very, very overwhelming to a lot of people because it's everything all at one time, right? But again, if you go down that rabbit hole and let's say you're just first waking up to all this stuff, don't let it overwhelm you, because that's exactly what it did to me, right? I was like, holy shit, you know, 9/11 was an inside job. All this stuff is an inside job. They're putting fluoride in our water. They're poisoning us every day. They're spraying stuff in the air, you know, and it's very overwhelming. It took me to a very dark place. And that's really when my addiction started, because I didn't see any kind of, you know, way out. And that's what I'm trying to keep people from doing, right? Is not going down that super dark path like I did, because it is very overwhelming and it's put there on purpose, I think, for a select amount of people to get very overwhelmed. So excuse me. Yes, they know the information, right? But what are they even going to be able to do about it? You know, and I think that a really good way to do something about it is to create an outlet for yourself, you know, and talk about it with other people. That's how we really start spreading the word and start making a difference, right?
Awareness, exactly. Raise awareness, expand consciousness, which is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. I work from home just like you, spend my nights, my days researching to spread awareness to help others. And it has to start with us all, each and every one. I say this implicitly to everyone that I speak to, that change starts at home, and you have to start by thinking in a new direction. And I witnessed an interview recently where somebody had had a UFO experience and put it nicely and said that their mind was scarred forevermore and burnt. It was burnt and etched in, that their life was changed forever. They couldn't think the same as they thought before. Their everyday life was not the everyday life that they experienced before, because it had changed. A new perception of reality had come to them and changed their world. And it was more of a, fuck, how am I going to deal with life now, knowing what I know? It's kind of a shock, a huge shock to the system. And you can either go, like you said, down that rabbit hole, and you can get lost because it goes on and on and on. And will there ever be an end? I don't know, because it's ongoing. But we have to kind of bring ourselves and live in the moment and the now, and accept that we're in this earthly body having an experience, and we can change our reality that we live in.
I think that that's very important, for people to realize that we have the power, right? And our consciousness is the key to making a difference and making a change in our reality, right? And being able to take on new information and disregarding the rest without getting emotional about it, right? And not fighting with each other about it, because literally all they have, Dollie, is political division and racial division. That's Absolutely. All that they got, And if we can put aside our differences on those two things, then they basically have nothing, right? They have built up the political division and racial division to a degree that is unbelievable, right? But if we can put our differences aside and realize that we all want the same thing, we want a better world for everyone. We want harmony. We want, love and expansion, right? That's what I want, is expansion. I want to keep growing. I want to keep learning. I want to keep doing the things that's going to benefit me in my life and for my highest and best good. And I think that if we concentrate on those aspects and concentrate on our similarities instead of our differences, then we're going to live and we're going to be in a better world, and not pay attention to all the things that they're trying to project out onto us, all of the propaganda, all the illusionary reality stuff that they're constantly hitting us with, right? If we can step outside of that and walk out our front door and go talk to our neighbors and realize all the things that they're trying to project is an illusion and it's not happening right outside of our house, then I think a lot of things are really going to change, and we're going to live in a better world and in a better society that's going to benefit everyone, and that might be some kind of pipe dream, but I'm really holding on to that, and hoping that people realize that the illusion that they're projecting on, that they want to get everyone locked into, is not real at all whatsoever. Walk out your front door. Do you see people dying in the middle of the street?
Exactly.
People killing over?
No,
you don't.
No, we don't see people killing each other either, or robbing each other, or the rest of everything else that goes with it that we're fed to believe. I've said this many times before. The majority of people that I do know are peace-loving people that want change and that are awake and that know what's going on and that, want to have a positive future and change all the systems. And it's just like, why isn't this happening? Why isn't it going? And thank you so much for discussing all these amazing topics with me. But I want to touch on something else with you before we finish up and wrap up. I want to get your take on ETs, extraterrestrials, and your perspectives on UFOs and what's what.
Well, that is a very complicated topic, but I'll try my best. So whenever I was younger, I had a lot of experiences, paranormal, and things would happen to me all the time. I would be, whenever I was younger, I was a kid, I would see beings come out of the wall and surround me every night.
Okay.
And I've gained a new perspective on what that was now that I've realized what it was. And I had a few people tell me that it was grays and that they have this technology to be able to phase in and out of reality and all that. And what I really realized in that was that it didn't necessarily have to be any kind of beings, right? I think that it was, I think that it was me, right? And that I came to this reality with my third eye completely open, and I was able to perceive and see things that other people couldn't. I had, abilities to where I could, predict future events. I would be able to tell people things that were going to happen before they happened, all kinds of things like that. And when I was younger, I saw a UFO with my dad and my mom. We were driving down the road, and this was probably like 98, 99 or something like that. And we're driving down the road on our way home, and there was this thing that was just hovering in the sky. I don't know how many feet it was up, but it was in the shape of it was like an M in the sky. It kind of looked like arches, like a big M. And it was just hovering there, like maybe not very high. Like it was pretty dang low. And I looked at it and I was just like stunned by it. I'm like, what is that? And then my dad seen it too. And he was like, and then my mom was my mom doesn't believe in any of this stuff. She was agnostic or atheist or whatever you want to call it. Nothing supernatural, nothing to do with ETs or whatever. And she was driving behind us. And then whenever we got home, my dad asked and was like, did you see that in the sky? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, well, that kind of made it real in my mind too, because my mom seen it and she acknowledged it, And later on, whenever I was around 18 or 19, my dad told me all of his UFO stories whenever he was younger, because I was raised on a farm, he was raised on a farm, and I kind of started putting all of these things, these different things together, and I'm like, there's got to be something to this. My dad saw the UFOs. My dad saw beings standing on the roof of his porch whenever he was younger. He saw wolf-like beings with wolf heads in suits, standing on the roof of the porch right outside of his window whenever he was a kid. One of them was sitting down in a chair in the middle, and the other two were standing on both sides of him. And I started kind of putting, because we lived like 10 miles outside of a really small town, and there was this military installation that was probably 3 or 4 miles away, called the TNT area. And it's where the Mothman was sighted back in the day. That's the town that I'm from.
Okay, right. Wow.
And there was a lot of mysterious things going on there, a lot of genetic manipulation. And, of course, the Mothman. It was a big, huge military installation. They had underground bunkers. They had,
MK Ultra stuff, do you think? Secret space program?
Maybe. I think so. I'm not 100% sure. I really didn't even think about that until you just brought it up. But I think that that some of that could be involved, because I believe that I am somehow involved in some of those programs. I'm not 100% sure how or why or what's going on. I have absolutely no memory of it, but I think that I'm definitely involved in some kind of way. But so I started putting all this together, and I'm, trying to figure it out. And I've seen some other things in my life, some UFOs and some unexplainable things. I had a UFO experience probably a year and a half ago, where I saw a whole fleet of ships. And I was working a graveyard shift at a treatment center, and I was taking the trash out, and it was a full moon that night, and I was looking at the moon, and I saw like a shooting star, but the shooting star was going upward, right? And I never seen a shooting star go up. And I'm like, huh, that was weird. And then I turn around and I see a whole fleet of ships coming up at an angle, right? They were all in formation. They all came in a straight line. They came up at an angle like this, and then they flattened out and then went across. And the one that was leading it was I can make that one out a little bit more, right? It was in a Merkaba, right? And there was a light emitting from it, like a very bright white light emitting from the Merkaba, and it was just going steady. And then there was probably, I don't even know, I stood there and looked at all of these ships coming up at an angle and then flattening out and then going straight across for probably a good 20 minutes. Wow. So however many ships that was, I guesstimate at least 70, ships that I saw. And then at the end of that, there was a triangle ship that came out at the same angle, and it wasn't like a solid. I'm calling them ships, but I don't know if they were really ships. They were just like light orbs, right? And really big light orbs, and it made a triangle, right? One at the tip, and then two other lights at the bottom, and it was moving backwards in like a triangle formation. So it was moving like this with the two triangles being. It was like it was moving backwards. It wasn't going ahead with the spear of the triangle, going that way, but it was moving backwards. And I watched it until it was completely out of view. And I was so shocked by this experience. I was literally I think there was tears rolling down my eyes, actually. It wasn't, negative whatsoever. My jaw was just on the ground. Yeah. I was like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm actually witnessing this. I'm seeing this with my eyes. I'm standing there just like in awe. I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. Because this is the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. UFO related or orb or whatever related with my own eyes. I'd heard other people talk about it, and other people experience these kind of things, especially with, Michael Lee Hill talking about the orbs that he's, experienced and filmed over Lake Erie, but I wasn't aware of that until, later on. And I told him this story in our interview, but I was like, holy shit, I just saw that. And I was blown away by it. My jaw was on the ground. I'm like, wow, I just experienced that. And that was one of the last experiences that I have. But as far as what they are, I really have no idea what they are or really what they're doing here. I mean, I know that there's a few select groups that I do know what they're doing here, especially the Greys that, we've signed a contract with to abduct people in the United States. I think 160,000 people a year that we signed a contract with them, but I think the contract is getting ready to end or something along to that effect. But I think there's infinite amount of, races of ET beings. But my thought on them as of late is, and I've expressed this on quite a few shows on Chris's show, and, I think I've talked about it on my show as well. But I think that there's a possibility that all of the ETs could be the exact same. right? And that they use their skins as like dolls, right? And they have a bunch of different dolls hung up in their closet, and they're able to transfer their consciousness into that doll depending on what race of being that they want to be.
Like avatars in a way.
Yes. Yeah. And they're using these different skins of beings, like we put on clothes, like we change our shirt, like we put on a hoodie or whatever. They're putting on a different kind of avatar.
Yeah, like a sleeve. Yeah.
Yeah. Like a doll. Like they're because I kind of came up with that concept from listening to the Roswell alien interview with Metoda O'Donnell McElroy interview from the Roswell incident, whenever the Roswell UFO crash landed, and one of the aliens were able to survive, and she kept all the transcripts from her interaction with the being. And it was all psychic communication, and apparently the being was just a doll, right? And its consciousness was able to be transferred into this doll via some kind of technology, and it was able to go around and inhabit this doll and do and survey whatever it is that it was here to do. So, and then also. Somebody else was talking about that too. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I wasn't the first to come up with that concept. Just putting that out there and being honest. But I think that it's very possible that it could be like that. And so
fascinating stuff. I mean, do you think that possibly like all of your interactions, experiences, life experiences, I mean, like me, I always end up in some kind of like fucked up situation. Do you think that like this has had a big part to play with you? Your alien experiences has led you all in to be who you are, what you do, how you roll, kind of thing? Because I'm kind of like that. It's kind of like caused me to flow with a different vibration and think differently. And
100%, I think that it really has had a big impact on me. And through my experiences and what I've discovered, I think that through my dad and a lot of that I was genetically engineered on a certain level by these beings, and I think that they're sort of looking out for me in a way, and I think that a lot of them are positive. Right. And they're helping me on a fundamental level. And, in my everyday situation, in my everyday life, I think that they're always there on many levels. And, I've thanked them, but again, I'm not going to, rely on them. And they know whenever I need something, and whenever that I really need it, right? Because I'm not just coming to them with every single little situation that's going on. And whenever I really need something, or if I'm really struggling or something is really happening, then I ask for assistance. And that way they know that whenever I ask them, that's really important to me, that it be done. Right.
Absolutely.
And that's another thing too, is that a lot of people have a screwed up sense of manifestation and getting what you want, right? Because a lot of times the universe, I don't really know how to explain this in the best kind of way, but the universe always requires something in return whenever you're manifesting something or you're trying to accomplish something, right? And if you ask for something and you don't have something to give in return, then the universe is going to take something from you. Right?
Kind of.
And that's very
understand.
Yeah. that's important to realize, right? Because you can manifest the perfect life and everything that you want, but if you're not giving something up in return, then eventually at some point all that's going to be taken away at some point, or something is going to happen to you, right? So it's important for people to know and to realize that whenever you're trying to manifest something or you need something, that you personally have to give something in return, because if you don't, then something is going to be taken, and that thing might not be something huge. It could be, whatever you think is equivalent or better than the thing that you're trying to receive. Then you have to get rid of that, because again, if not, then you're going to find yourself in a very shitty situation at some point in your life, and it's dangerous for certain people to be teaching a wrong form of manifestation, that you can just manifest things out of thin air.
Absolutely.
Because that's not the way that it works. It doesn't. The universe doesn't work like that. It's a polarity kind of give and take system, that you have to offer something up of equal or greater value in order for you to get the thing that you're trying to manifest. And I just think that that's important to let people realize and let people know.
It is. That's a beautiful way of putting it. I thank you for today. Thank you for joining me. I think we've been running for about how many hours? Nearly 2 hours. We have chatted for 2 hours. It seems like 5 minutes. I could talk and talk and talk to you. And I think you've got a really amazing outlook and message from a real starseed point of view. And I love what you're doing and how you've turned your life around and put it positively to help others, and that you're manifesting and you're changing the world around you. So I thank you for joining me today on my podcast, and I'm going to have you back again. Is that okay?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dollie. I appreciate the conversation. It was lovely. It went by really quick.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to put all your links in there and everything else before I forget, because I've got that much in my head. I forget things quite easily these days. But you guys can check out Ryder Lee at Raised by Giants. I will put the link in there with the podcast. You can check this out along at Knowledge Portal and SpaceLink TV, and also over on my channel, Dollie IndigoStar. Thank you for joining us. Keep safe out there, everyone, and keep your eyes up to the skies. Lots of love.
Thank you.